While free speech is the essential mechanism through which ideas can either be confirmed or refuted, there's a sick irony to be had in the abuse of the right by those who have demonstrated a shameful disregard for the very system that protects their radical public image. The righteousness of fundamentalist Christianity has shown itself to be detrimental to the public forum, with such despicable tactics as vote botting, false flagging, and DMCA abuses, to name a few. In public forums, such as YouTube, there are strategies allowed by the system in the form of comment management that adhere to this same brand of thought suppression as the illegitimate methods. In a sense, the acceptable practice of comment censorship is no less detrimental to free speech. In a lapse of better judgment, I recently viewed a video by NephilimFree, whose reputation for batshit insanity is second to none, discussing the true scientific explanation for the origin of the Hawaiian Islands. In his video, he stated that the current scientific consensus that volcanic islands formed over substantial periods of time was inherently unscientific, and that there was apparently no evidence to support this conclusion, and that science makes conclusions based on evidence. I was both sickened and amused by this man's superiority complex, compelling him to explain what science is, as if his smug disregard for the subject gave him authority over it. He then went on to say that the observed emergence of the Icelandic island Censor was evidence that all islands emerged incredibly rapidly. This is not only an isolated case, but it is a clear outlier given the observation of countless undersea volcanic features progressing at an incredibly slow rate. Nevertheless, the stubborn ignorance of the creationists was irrefutable, and he concluded with absolute certainty that all volcanic islands must have formed in the same tectonic event that shot water into the moon. This absurd assessment completely contradicted what little validity his previous explanation of science had. It was like watching a toddler condescend a kindergarten teacher's explanation of the alphabet before counting to 20 to prove his point. Such an idiotic delusion of grandeur surely wouldn't have been swayed by any argument anyone could possibly make, but I felt compelled to respond. After a quick Google search and a bit of thoughtful consideration of the implications of his proposed theory, I presented the following criticism. Censor has been estimated to have attained a maximum volume of approximately 1 cubic kilometer. Mauna Loa was estimated as being between 60,000 and 80,000 cubic kilometers in volume. Assuming all volcanoes grow at the same rate as Censor, it would have taken Mauna Loa at best 240,000 years to reach its current size. To claim that one outlier proves your hypothesis, while simultaneously failing to analyze the implications, is unscientific, you hypocritical vandal of knowledge. Upon posting the criticism, I became aware of NephilimFree's first level of censorship, the comment approval option. This is a particularly low method of defense, as he could simply choose to dispose of any valid criticism directed towards him. It's clear that he only posts the comments he either agrees with or feels he can trump intellectually. Luckily for me, he felt that he had the mental prowess necessary to put me in my place, and quickly submitted a response to my comment. His counterargument proved to be phenomenally idiotic. He stated, "You assume far too much. What we observe is that islands rise quickly. The flood is over. The magma that created the islands rose in greater volume because of those events. You should not expect such magma to rise so quickly today. You talk about unscientific, but what is unscientific is to assume and ignore what is observed. And what we observe is that islands rise quickly with countless strata that evotars claim are created on the continents over millions of years. Fail." Well, I suppose his petty name-calling could have been justified by my own benign insult, that didn't account for his grossly inaccurate explanation. To say that Censor is ignored by science is false. To say that Censor's existence justifies the conclusion that all islands are formed within several years is deliberately ignorant beyond anything I could ever begin to comprehend. His stupidity has reached a new low, and I resolved to call him out on it once again. I knew he would never accept criticism, but I had to refute his illogic for my own dignity. After typing a reply addressing his obvious contradictions of his own definition of science, I found that I had been blocked. That's right, the righteous upholder of moral law and defender of the universal Christian truth had to use censorship to make himself look like the victor. When anyone disagrees, He gets the final word and revels in the inability of his critics to refute his statements. At the end of every one-sided discussion, he makes his rebuttal and makes sure that he is perceived as rendering his vocal critics speechless. This is a shameless act of deception, which I seem to recall as being something of a sin by Christian standards. With such unwillingness to allow free speech within the confines of his own channel, this speaks volumes about his opinions regarding the rights of others to voice dissenting opinions. To say such an attitude is anti-American would be the nationalistic low blow that one would expect from a typo-ridden Tea Party banner, but it's not entirely inaccurate. Of all the rights within the democracy of the United States, the rights to free speech, free press, and free expression supersede any of the others, contrary to what the gun lobby might argue. It is through open discussion that change is made. It is what allows for both social progress and scientific progress. While it's clear that the creationist stance is counterproductive to scientific advancement, the free speech suppression widely accepted by these same simpletons is a detriment to society as a whole. This Christian morality can only lead to ruin if it's presented as fact, while the objective dissenting opinions are forcibly suppressed. This ferocious zeal is the single greatest threat to the objectivity of the public forum, and it is the duty of all free thinkers with a conscience to take every precaution to ensure that these beliefs are kept within YouTube and out of public schools. Anti-theism may be belligerent, but knowledge is worth fighting for.